Hi, everyone. My name is Anthony Caruso III, and I am the publisher of the Capital Sports Report. I am also the host of the Capital Sports Report Live. Tonight, I am joined by 2014 top alcohol dragster champion, Chris Demke. Welcome to the show tonight, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Anthony. It's great to be on the show.
Chris, for those that do not know, how did you get started in racing?
If you have followed my career at all, you know that I've always driven for a team called Mattern Racing, sponsored by a company called Peenright. And Mattern is what this team is all about. Mattern is Jerry Mattern, my stepfather. He loves drag racing. He drag raced back in the 60s, both car and drag boat drag racing. He wasn't a driver kind of guy. He's really an engine guy. And while he loved motorsports, he took time off from racing and purchased a company called Peenright. He and his business partner, and they got Peenright going and nice and stable. And I think it was about 1988 or so. Jerry called me one day and said, "Hey, let's go take a trip." And I hopped in his car and we drove out to some guy's shop. And in that shop was a super comp dragster. It was actually an old Top Fuel car, like a 1971 Swindoll Top Fuel rear engine dragster that had been converted to super comp. And Jerry says, "Hey, tells me he's looking to buy this car. Would I be interested in going drag racing?" I got to sit in this car and they started it up, and oh man, my heart was pounding. I was so excited. So Jerry buys the car. And anyway, my mom finds out. My mom, Dixie, bless her soul, she finds out about this and says, "Hey, this is a great idea. Let's go drag racing. But under one condition, nobody in the family gets to drive it." And my heart just sunk. Oh, man, I so wanted to drive this car. But, I was happy enough just to work on it. So instead of racing Super Comp, there was a series out here on the West Coast. We're out of Los Angeles. But there was a series that kind of ran in, California called Top Gas West. And it was kind of a run what you brung, gas-powered anything. And it eventually turned into run anything, any fuel, but a 630 index. But anyway, with these Top Gas West guys, we ran up at Palmdale and Sacramento and Bakersfield. And I think our driver at the time was a guy named Les Hall. Some of you might know who he is. He's a great friend of mine. And we had a great time running Top Gas West for a couple of years. We raced with Johnny Otten's dad. And Johnny was, of course, on the team. Johnny wasn't driving at the time. But a lot of Southern California guys raced in this Top Gas West series. Anyway, we did that for a couple of years. And Jerry, my stepdad, hooked up with a guy, Dave Tuttle. And Jerry was, so we're running this old Swindoll chassis, right? But Jerry starts thinking, "Hey, I'm going to get a fresh chassis built." Hooks up with Dave Tuttle, who is in San Fernando Valley, and Dave's going to build him a nice new chassis. But Tuttle knew a guy by the name of Spike Gore, and Spike and Ralph Gore, who are well-known drag racing fuel system guys. Spike was looking to go racing, so Tuttle, building a chassis, hooked Jerry up with Spike and Ralph. And instead of racing Top Gas, we took one of Ralph and Spike Gore's motors, put it in that chassis, and we started racing NHRA Top Alcohol Dragster. I think the year was 1993. Of course, I was a crew guy, and I was a sponge working with Ralph, just learning about fuel systems. We didn't have much success for that year, but it was a great learning experience to go from a small series of Top Gas West and go race with the big guys. I remember meeting guys like Louis Gasparelli. They were friends with Ralph and Spike, and Louis pulling me aside and telling me, "Hey, you guys are new, but if there's anything you need, just give me a holler." And I just felt like, whoa, this guy just welcomed me into one of the greatest families I know. A family of drag racers. And so Spike drove for a year. That deal kind of went away. Jerry bought his own motors, so we started doing it on our own in '94. I think Spike drove for maybe 3 races, And then he got out of the seat, and we got Frank Pedregon, of all people, came and drove for us for, I want to say a year and a half. He got out, and then we partnered up with Darren Nicholson. And Darren had been driving for another guy at the time, but I think that deal fell through. Darren hopped in the seat, and then we started really, really traveling a little more. With Darren driving, we finally won our team's. I think we got our first low qualifier bonus in Sacramento at a Division 7 race in 1996. Finally won our very first NHRA event up in Yakima, Washington, a Division 6 race, and that was, I think, August of '98. We carried 2 motors with us, the motor in the car and 1 spare. And for the final round of that Yakima race, we had to throw in our spare motor, and we win the race. So our first ever Wally, right? And we go win that race, and Jerry says, "Hey, well, next weekend's Indy. Why don't we head out to Indy?" And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? We have 1 motor left. We're going to travel all the way across the country, go to the biggest race of the year. What is this man thinking? And sure enough, we go to Indy and end up winning the race, the team's first national event win. It was just amazing. Great times. My hat's off to Darren. He did a great job driving. I think it was a whole shot victory in the final. And anyway, all this stuff's going on, and it's just sinking the hook deep in me. I want to drive so bad. In fact, right around '98, I think that was when Jerry and my mom gave me for my birthday, they gave me, what was it? I got to go to the Frank Hawley School and get my super comp license. Yeah, that's what it was. So I go to Pomona, make 6 passes, get my super comp license, and I'm just chomping at the bit. In fact, once I had my super comp license, in between Top Alcohol Dragster races, they're still having these Top Gas West races, of course, a whole separate series going on at Palmdale and so forth. So we take the alcohol car, and they let me drive at a Top Gas West race, right? And we go up to Palmdale, and of course, by then it wasn't run it wasn't just run gas, but it was the 630 index thing. And we take our car out that runs, at the time, 550s, 560s, and I'm needing to run. So we kind of detuned it a little bit, but didn't put any throttle stops or anything. Well, the car would, the car would run fairly consistent, but it would break out, right? So down at about the 1,000-foot sign, if any of you guys can remember, out at Palmdale, LA County Raceway, as it was called, at about the 1,000-foot was a sign along the left wall, and it was there was all these advertisements along that wall, but there was this one for a place called Pick Your Part, one of those automotive junkyards where they let you in, where you go find the car you're looking for a part from, and you get to take the part off yourself. And their trademark image is this octopus with a wrench in every arm, right? And I just remember, 1,000 foot is the Pick Your Part sign. So I would drive the thing to the Pick Your Part sign and lift and coast to the finish line, and it would run 640, 639, 645. So that was my key, run to the Pick Your Part and lift. Anyway, we go run this Top Gas West race, and I win my very first race driving. And now it's not NHRA, but still, my very first race I'm at, I win. I'm just thinking, man, this is the best thing ever. I can't wait for my opportunity. So we keep racing with Darren, and we won Indy. I think we won probably 4 more national events the next year. I think Phoenix, Denver, which was tough, high altitude. That was a real challenge. I was really proud of that win because I had to do some modifications of the fuel system for the altitude. I was just kind of learning how to manage the fuel system for at extreme things like that. Tom Conway taught me how to do that.
Okay.
And anyway, we go, and we were number 1 qualifier, set low ET, and won the event. Left there, with a sweep. And anyway, good times. Once again, I'm just loving drag racing, but still not in the seat yet. So Darren drove with us a couple more years, and then he had another opportunity come along, and that was it. The door was open for me. Jerry asked me if I wanted to drive. Of course, I said yes. So I got to get in the seat. I think it was 2002. I didn't get to drive at Pomona. I think Mike Austin, a friend of the family who has an alcohol car out of Oregon, he drove at the Winter Nationals that year, but then I stepped in and started driving at that point. I'd like to say I never got out of the seat, but as we'll find out as we talk, that I have stepped out briefly for other times. But yeah, so 2002, was my first steady time in the seat for Mattern Racing, the Peen Right Top Alcohol Dragster, and just having a blast.
Chris, I want to go back to what you said maybe 5 minutes ago now.
Okay.
when your stepfather and your mother bought a dragster, I believe it was, or bought
it was a Swindoll, 1971
yeah.
Swindoll, top fuel car that had been converted.
And she said that you can buy it, but nobody can drive it in the family. That had to be disappointing for you.
I mean, it was a kick in the you know what. I was just like, oh, but I didn't get discouraged. You know, believe me, just having the opportunity to be a participant, or go from spectator to participant, right?
Yes.
I mean, but Jerry loved drag racing. Before he even married my mom, when I was just a little child, he would take us out to Irwindale and Orange County, and of course Pomona. And it was just a regular family thing to go watch. And he, as an engine builder, he knew a lot about what was going on and would teach, talk to me about this aspect or that. He would always, when it comes to cars, when I was a kid, just an early teenager, every Saturday, maybe not Saturday, but Sunday was always car maintenance day. He had a company car that, he put a lot of miles on. And he would have me out there changing the oil. He taught me how to do brakes and just do the regular maintenance. And it really got me comfortable with a wrench in my hand. So that when it came time to go racing, well, I'm not going to claim I'm the best mechanic. In fact, my crew will laugh. They try to keep me from putting a wrench in my hand and touching the car at the races. But yeah, I do have some skills and some knowledge. I'm not the best at it, but I try. So yeah, when Mom said nobody in the family gets to drive it was like, oh, come on, you got to be kidding me. But time went by where with Les driving and Frank Pedregon and then Darren Nicholson, and you could see that it was safe. I mean, we did witness events where other drivers did crash, and unfortunately some did pass away. But overall, you could tell that it was a fairly safe thing. And she finally lightened up and said it would be okay if I got my chance to drive. So yeah.
I want to bring this back to 1993. You said you were a crew member for the team early on.
Yes.
And you see this a lot in drag racing, where they'll start off as a crew member first. Like one example is Larry Dixon or
Yes.
Robert Height. They started off as crew members, and then they eventually made it up to a driver, and they become very successful as a driver.
Sure.
For you, what was it like to learn the aspects of the car or what, being a crew member that helped you along in your career?
I think it was extremely valuable. In fact, I've told other people who want to drive the fact that being on the starting line, not in the car, but as a crew member, you start to learn what's going on. When you're the driver and you're strapped in, you're strapped in the car. You can't put your head up and look around and see what's going on. You don't know what's behind you. You're dependent on the people around you on the starting line to really give you hints and clues, or maybe directly tell you what's going on around you. But if you've spent time as a crew member on the starting line with that team, it gives you that sixth sense of, okay, here's what's happening now. This person is probably doing this. That's probably going on in the other lane, etc. And it just helps you get a better feel for what's going on in that other lane, or in your own lane. Of course, you don't want to run anybody over, things like that. But now I know there are plenty of people who have jumped in the seat with very little to no time on the starting line, and my hat's off to them for being able to do it. But for me personally, I would recommend that anybody who wants to drive, especially a very high horsepower car, to spend some time on that starting line in the pits with the crew and the team, and just kind of learn what's going on, because that will be extremely valuable to you and help calm you down that first time you're strapped in. I'll never forget that first time I was, not just the first time, but there's been multiple times I'm strapped in on the starting line just thinking, what am I doing here? Right? because it's scary, and you have to take that fear and manage it. If you're not scared when you're first starting out, you're just lying to yourself, right? You need to
Yeah.
take that fear, that energy, that nervousness, and manage it and focus that energy on the task at hand. And so did I answer your question? I don't.
Yes,
I told you before. You get me started talking on drag racing, I won't shut up. But I'm having a good time, so it's all good.
Well, this sport the past few weeks, and I touched this on. I also mentioned this on Monday when I had Matt Gill on.
Mm-hmm.
The past few weeks has been very, very bad in drag racing. Well, racing overall, I'll say, because you've had several deaths in drag racing. You had a Moto America racer dying at the end of on the last Friday of July. You had some guy named Turbo Tom die at Crossville Dragway in Tennessee, and then the very next day you had Craig Wick die.
Sure.
And then the week after that, then at the beginning of August, and you had like a Street Outlaws driver die. So it's like crazy.
Yeah. Now, it is a dangerous sport, right? And you just need to do your best to obey all the rules. Anytime, I look at the car I get in, and I see over the course of my career, I've seen the rules change and be updated, and safety features added, and sometimes at extreme cost. Like now, what was it, August 1st? I have to wear fireproof underwear now. I have a two-piece suit that, according to the rules now, is going to be a decoration come January 1st, 2023. It costs money to do this, but somebody gave life or limb. I know there was a funny car racer who was badly burned at a what is that, Funny Car Chaos, I think it was. That is the reason these new fire protection rules have come along. And at first I thought, oh man, I've driven so long, I've never had to do this. But you know what? It's there for a reason. Get over it, get used to it, because all those pieces are there because somebody got hurt, and or worse. And you got to know that getting in the car, that it's a dangerous sport. There's many pieces and things there to help make it as safe as possible. But there's a when you're stepping. In my case, I'm stepping on a gas pedal that's going to put 4,500 horsepower, propel me forward. That's dangerous, right?
Yes.
So, and you're absolutely right. These past couple of weeks have been very tragic, and it's very sad for the motorsport industry.
And I've seen this, but I don't know if you have. But for the Funny Car Chaos guys, some drivers, I'm not saying everyone has it like this, but some drivers. So in the NHRA, they have like this shield, like protects you once you get in. You're like shielded.
Okay, I've seen that in pro and top or fuel funny car. I don't know about alcohol funny car, but I haven't.
The nitro cars, yes.
Yeah.
When you're sitting, there's a shield between you and the engine, so if something happens, you're protected. And I've seen some posts from drivers in Funny Car Chaos. They have no protection. It's just the engine.
Oh, really? Okay.
And maybe that was what happened back in March. But
sure.
Alan Bradshaw was one post I saw. He said, "Well, I'm sitting right in front of an engine. If it explodes, I have no protection."
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you strap yourself, you get in the car. Like I said, do your best to have your car up to date. Of course, at NHRA, the tech guys come around, and I know up until a couple of years ago, they were very thorough about checking that stuff every event. Now it's more an honor system, which, right or wrong, it came about during the COVID. But I don't know what to tell you. You just got to do your best to make sure your stuff is up to date. And, they leave it up to the driver now to follow all those rules and make sure that it's as safe as possible. So,
yes. I want to touch on, because you had mentioned this and I did not know this, that In 1998, you said that you guys won in August 98. You guys won in Washington.
Yes.
And the very next week, you went to Indianapolis, Brownsburg, Indiana,
Brownsburg,
and,
sure.
and won the U.S. Nationals. And that's the marquee event that everyone wants to win. So what was it like
Absolutely.
for you guys to win it?
Oh
as a
my
team?
God. It was I can't even begin to describe it. The only thing that would be better was when I was driving and won Indy, of course, and of course my championship. But no, for an up and coming team that really hadn't had a lot of success, to work our way through it. What's the term? You got to serve your time, right? And we served our
Yes.
time, and just the time I was putting into it at home, it's a labor of love. I didn't every Saturday was race car day. All of us that were in Southern California that were on this team would converge at the race shop, work with Jerry to do the post race maintenance and then the pre race prep for the next event. And you just didn't. You had to put it first, right? Everybody wants to take vacations, of course, and everyone's got a life outside of drag racing, but yeah, my ex-wife called it my mistress, the race car. Even when I wasn't driving, she had to contend with all that time I spent down at the race shop helping Jerry get things ready, and it's a labor of love. And then it finally paid off, right? To go and win that race. We had gone to Indy. I want to think, when Spike Gore started racing in '93, our first year where we were racing NHRA. We did the local stuff: Sacramento, Bakersfield, Pomona, and of course Phoenix. I'm trying to think, and then suddenly, our rig at the time was a single deck, a chaparral trailer. We towed it with a Ford crew cab dually, and when Jerry decided, yeah, let's head out to like I said, we went to Yakima. We probably went to Seattle that year. And then he decides from Yakima, let's go to Indianapolis. That was just kind of, I'm getting off track. I got it back to Spike Gore. When we went to Indy in '93, I think we blew up a motor, and the spare motor was a different kind of block, a different manufacturer. We go to put that spare in, it didn't fit. The oil pump was in a different place. It would not fit. And we were just like, we didn't even qualify, right? It's like, I'm back there in the East Coast with this bunch of racers that I don't know who they are. I knew them from names and reading National Dragster, right? Back when National Dragster was a weekly paper. But anyway, all these big names, and they're all there. I was just starstruck and overwhelmed with I'm back here racing with all these people. And of course, we sucked, right? And we go back home. I think we went back in '95, maybe with Pedregon driving, maybe with Nicholson. I don't know. I think we went again, maybe '97, but then to go back in '98 and actually win. Like I said, all that effort paying off. No, it was wonderful. I don't even remember how I don't know how to describe it. It was very exciting. And of course, like I said, for Darren to win it on a whole shot, you're going up there to that final round. And the guy you're racing, I think we were racing Rick Hinkleman in an A-Fuel car. And back then, and this is getting into a whole other issue, back in the mid-'90s, really the supercharged methanol, the blown alcohol car, was the more popular, definitely the more common combination in the category. In fact, back then, I want to say there was probably 4 or 5 different. You could have a dual engine car on gasoline and nitrous. There were guys with dual engine cars with nitrous. They were a plumber's nightmare. It was crazy seeing those cars, but it was neat to see the variety. And in fact, I remember, what was it? Houston '94. It was the last race with Spike Gore, where at Houston, Tom Conway, who won the championship that year, he had a blown alcohol car. He made a qualifying run with a blown alcohol motor in the car, came back to the pits. They took the blown alcohol motor out, dropped in an A-Fuel motor in that car, and then went and made a pass with nitro. I mean, wow. Unheard of kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I have the most respect for Tom Conway. Very quiet guy, but if you get talking to him and you can get him talking, he's very knowledgeable and just a wonderful guy that I hope I could call him my friend. But anyway, I haven't seen him in a while. But yeah, to see somebody actually not just change a motor, but change combinations. And then he probably went on to win the race, and it was just him and his wife and his son, I think. Very short-handed, but to pull something like that off was incredible. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with all that, but
well, since we're talking about Indy,
sure,
I'd like to bring up your 2014 U.S. Nationals win.
Yeah. That was a good one. In fact, let me see here. I think I have two. So just to jump forward, this was the ring they gave me in the winner's circle. And this is a great big ring. As I found out, these rings they were given to everybody in the top eliminator club, which it's a beautiful ring. And I'd never won a ring in any way, shape, or form before. So I, almost brought a tear to my eye. Until after the race, like maybe a month or so later, they sent me this one, an actual real ring. It's a little smaller, but it's got real diamonds in it. So yeah, this is my Indianapolis 2014. Oh, it even says my name.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is my Indianapolis 2014 victory ring. I'm so happy. Like I said, I'd never done anything where I actually earned a ring. But now that I'd say Indy night 2014, we were on a roll. It was that was like the dream team, the crew we had, and the victories we were pulling off. We went through some streak where, I don't know the number. Adam Rhodes, crew chief at the time, probably would know, but we had a streak of wins that might have spanned 3, if not 4 races back then. It might have been 1 week or the weekend before that was a regional race in Topeka, Kansas. And oh my gosh, it was so hot. It was one of those kind of events that you don't race during the day. You only race at night because it's too hot during the day. The grains, now I'm talking weather conditions right now. But and that's big part of doing a fuel system on a race car is you got to be part weatherman, right? So you got to know barometric pressure, humidity, and temperature. And humidity, it's absolute, it's kind of a relative humidity is how you say it. There's also absolute humidity, but everybody talks about in grains of water. And anyway, grains up to about 50 is what we see here on the West Coast. You go back east, grains start going over 100. I think the grains were 140. It was just one of those days where you walk outside and you're dripping sweat and you feel like you need to go take another shower. But we race we'd never won at Topeka before. In fact, before I won my first national event at Pomona in 2010, I'd probably been to 7 national event final rounds and hadn't won. And those 7 national events included probably 3 or 4 at Topeka. I think I lost to who's the top field guy who's won all these championships? Steve Torrance. Great guy. I love Steve. Steve Torrance, his first national event victory. I was in a top alcohol dragster. He was driving for Tom Conway, I think at the time. Anyway, I was in the other lane.
I also know that he drove for Dexter Tuttle.
Was it an alcohol car or was he taught?
Yes,
he was pro by then.
Alcohol car. He was driving.
Okay. So I'd never actually won a race at Topeka. So here we are at Topeka the weekend or 2 before Indy, and we make it to the final round. It's like midnight, and who am I paired up with? My good buddy Randy Meyer. Now, I love Randy. He's a great guy. I love him most when he's driving the car because he doesn't tune it as well. Ever since he got out of the driver's seat, you see what he's created. This monster team. Yeah. And he was kind of in and out back then. He would get out of the seat and let somebody pay to drive. It wasn't his daughters yet, but somebody could pay to drive for him, and that car was a rocket ship.
The program that he has with this Sackman.
Yes, very similar. Yeah. So somebody would pay to drive. The car was a rocket ship. He would get back in, and the consistency would fall off. Right. Well, anyway, I beat the guy at the final round. My first win at Topeka. It was a regional, not a national event, but I'll still take it. So we go to Indy, and it was a struggle. I forget all the details. I know I did meet up with Randy again in the semis, and Adam went for broke, man. He turned all the knobs on high, and then put them on. He didn't turn them to 10. He turned them to 11, and it worked. It worked. We ran our quickest run of the weekend to take Randy out in the semis. And Unfortunately, Adam left the thing. Fortunately or unfortunately, either way, of course, we all know I won the race. But in the final, Adam left all the knobs turned to 11, and the track just wouldn't hold it. And this car shook. I mean, it was a real brain rattling event. I think it was Rich McPhillips in the other lane, and he red lit. Otherwise, it might not have won. But hey, that's racing. It was great, Rich and his team. Well, we see the monster those guys have created too. Yeah, with both. Who's driving that car now? I'm so
Matt
bad.
Cummings. Matt
Cummings. Yes, Matt talked to us one time about driving one of our cars, because when he had his own car, he was driving a blown alcohol combination. And anyway, I think he made the right decision teaming up with Mick Phillips. That's been a very successful and strong group of guys. And of course, they're tuning for Salinas too, aren't they? Absolutely.
They got some affiliation with the Scrappers Racing team.
Yes, that doesn't suck one bit. So
no, he does very well too.
But that's kind of the state of things with the A-Fuel cars and so forth, right? The tide has turned. You see many more A-Fuel cars than blown alcohol combinations now. They probably should change the name of the category to A-Fuel Dragster instead of Top Alcohol, especially with what's happening next year in Top Alcohol Funny Car with A-Fuel there. That really surprised me. I like you said, we're going to talk a little later about why I'm not driving as much. And so as a result of me not driving as much, I'm really not paying that much attention to what's going on in the category. That really caught me by surprise. I'm sure some of the funny car drivers knew what was going on. But yeah, well, and I'm sure Randy Meyer had something to do with that. Randy holds a lot of sway. And didn't he put together an A-Fuel funny car, put Julie in the seat, and I think they had it at one of those
chaos. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how you prove something like that works. So my hat's off to him, and that should be exciting. I think NHRA, they're trying to keep drag racing relevant. You see car counts dropping off and so forth, and they, if you want to. They need to make alcohol more of or I think their plan is to make the alcohol category or semi-pro category, as it may be, more of a feeder class to the pros, right? And, from that perspective, it makes perfect sense. So I can't argue that. If I was an alcohol funny car guy and I saw this happen, I'd be pretty dejected. But hey, if you look at the rules for the A-Fuel funny car versus what an A-Fuel dragster is allowed to do, it looks like they've got the noose pretty tight around the neck, right? 85% nitro, except for tracks at altitude and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and it might create some excitement.
Scott Daly, I believe his name is Daly, said he would like to meet you one day and see your car.
Oh, hey, well, I know I haven't been driving much lately. I did. So what did we do this year? We started out in Pomona.
And Las Vegas.
And then Las Vegas National, Las Vegas Regional. And the car's pretty much been parked since. We were going to go to Woodburn to a regional at Joey's track up in Woodburn, Oregon. Couldn't get a crew together. And that's one of our challenges right now is not just getting people who want to, there's plenty of people who want to come help, but I need skilled hands that are local to our shop. How do you say it? If number one, people these days want to get paid to be on the crew, and unfortunately,
this is all volunteer.
Volunteerism isn't alive and strong in drag racing at this level anymore. And that goes back to the state of the economy. Peenright and the businesses that support our team have challenges. They're Peenright and some of the companies, they're part of the Boeing supply chain, right? Boeing aircraft. We all know about Boeing commercial aircraft, and Boeing has faced some serious challenges lately with they had 2 planes crash back there in 2018 and 2019. Didn't go over very well. They had to stop manufacturing the 737, their bread and butter. That affected the supply chain, consequently affected revenue at some of the companies supporting Modern Racing. And so revenue is short. And without money, well, it's hard to get parts. It's hard to get parts, period, right now. That's, ordering rods are back ordered, or not back ordered, but you place an order for a set of rods and you might be waiting a couple of months. Pistons, same thing.
Next year now.
What's that?
Or maybe even next year.
Maybe even next year. Absolutely. So parts is a challenge. And so that goes back to like, I think I was saying I'm not racing much lately. And that's not all I'm just the driver and I help out. It's really Jerry Mattern's team. It's Jerry Mattern's car. He makes the decision on what's going on. Money is tight. Getting parts is challenging, and we've had huge parts attrition over the last. If you look at how things went for our team in 2021, we blew up more parts than I think we blew up in 5 years in the between 2015, say 2014 and I don't know. We just blown up a lot of stuff. We had a serious, what it amounts to. What we found, we were having a real big problem with the valve train with retainers. The keepers are pulling through the retainer, and then there were other issues, maybe a fuel pump that was going bad. Anyway, after Pomona, the Winter Nationals this year, we grenaded a lot more stuff. Jerry went and saw Randy Anderson, and he took the fuel pump in to have it flowed, and he talked with Randy about the retainer issue. Randy offered him up a new retainer, as well as found that our primary fuel pump might have been going bad. In fact, probably, I haven't talked to Randy about this personally, but if you talk to Randy, he'll say, yeah, that pump was going bad, and he fixed it. And, after Pomona, and that was just an extension, the damage we did in 2020 at Pomona Winter Nationals 2022 was just a continuation of what all of 2021 was. Just regular dropping valves and backfiring the blower, etc. Blah, blah, blah. So after Pomona, we just went back, took everything apart. We were licking on it, just cleaning it, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And that's where Jerry taking pieces to Randy Anderson came into play. And I got a friend of mine from a couple of years ago, Steve Moody and his girlfriend Charisse. They came down. So I'm trying to get some local people on the crew to come help out. And I'm telling you, we went over this car with a fine-tooth comb. And we go to the Vegas National, and hey, things were the car made a couple runs without blowing up. That was a good sign, right? Yeah. And Kevin Watson was tuning the thing, doing a great job, not overly aggressive. And hey, I forget where we qualified. It was pretty good. We end up making it to the final, and I want to say final round, but it's final quad. Realistically, had it been a regular type of event, we probably would have lost in the semifinals, but that's neither here nor there. We still made it to a final. I was so proud of the team. It was clear that our efforts had paid off, that we kind of had the car back, not 100%, but at least back on track. Unfortunately, the very next weekend at Las Vegas at a regional, we ended up kicking a rod out, but hey, that happens. And so we brought the car back, fixed everything up. As I said, we were going to go to Woodburn. Didn't happen, but now our plan is to go to Billings, Montana, not this weekend, but next weekend. So yeah, through the end of the year, we're gonna hit Billings, or I guess it's called Acton, Montana, and I've actually won there 2, if not 3 times. Okay. We're gonna go there. Then probably there's a regional/division race in Bakersfield mid-October. Hasn't been anything we haven't been able to race. There hasn't been any events for us in Bakersfield in some time. Bakersfield holds a special place in my heart. It's where I got my license at. And so we're going to hit Bakersfield, then a week off, and then we'll do Vegas, Pomona to finish out the year. That's the plan. Whether our parts hold up and we make it, we'll see. But hey, so that would be so Pomona, Vegas.
That'd be 6 events. About
Pomona, Vegas, Billings.
6 or 7.
Yeah, whatever. I can't count it. Certainly half of what I used to do, or what the team used to do. But, like I said, with the economy, the finances, trying to get crew people and so forth that want to come and do it for the love of the sport, not for a paycheck. Anyway, that's where we're at right now. And we'll see how it goes. After taking so much time, I mean, God, this time off from Vegas to here is longer than from the Pomona finals to the Pomona Winter Nationals, right? They would probably have 4 months off. I'm kind of getting dejected, and I kind of forgot I don't want to say forgot what drag racing is, but I'll tell you what, as soon as they strapped me in for that first round of qualifying in Billings, Montana, I'll be like, man, why haven't we been racing more? There's no place else I'd rather be than strapped into that land missile, the Peen-Ride Top Alcohol Dragster, ready to do another quarter mile.
Wow. So, Chris, we have some comments. So, Scott, who commented earlier, who said they'd like to see your car. He lives in Palmdale.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, so he's close. Okay. All right.
Diane said.
Diane, that's my aunt. Hey, Diane, how are you doing?
And then Bergie said, shout out
Bergie.
to
shout out to Montana. Right on. Right on.
So I want to touch on this because we had Topeka this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, there were some issues where the tour might not go there. And
that's right. Yeah.
There was it might take the national event away, but they eventually did go there. And Phoenix is going away, Houston's going away. We had lost our track in 2018, Oak Ridge Township Raceway Park here in New Jersey. That went away.
Chicago? Is Chicago still?
But they just raced there in a divisional this weekend or something.
Right,
last weekend. So technically it's kind of back. So
kind of still there.
We didn't lose that one yet. So what is your thoughts on all these drags potentially going away?
Well, it's a sign of the times. As I said, NHRA, the group or the thing that is NHRA is trying to keep the sport relevant, and it's a challenging thing. Times change. What they did with junior drag racing way back in the day was a great idea because it brought young people into the sport. And but I don't know the state of junior dragster anymore, but it just seems as though I'm probably the wrong guy to ask. As I said, I'm kind of checking out of the sport. I haven't really been tracking what's going on. I do know certain things, but I know that I don't want to say the last couple of races, but over the course of the last couple of years, Ned, I forget his last name, he's an official at NHRA. Maybe, I don't think he's president, but he's heavily involved. He was over talking with us. There were multiple people from the higher up positions at NHRA coming around to not just our team, but other teams, and asking, hey, what can we do to make things better? What do you think we can do to make this sport more popular? What can we do to make it easier for you guys to come racing? Maybe reduce the cost, or which is of course challenging with a sport like this. But they're definitely, their ears are open. They're looking for ideas, and that's where I see this A-Fuel funny car thing is a step in that direction to try to help provide a feeder into the pro categories. Yes. Exactly. So what the future holds, I have no idea. I wish everybody well. I don't know where I will be, in a year or 5 years. I really enjoyed my time drag racing. This is, I sacrificed a marriage, a career, and everything, all for here's another ring. Here's my 2014 Lucas Oil Championship ring. I sacrificed a lot for this little piece of metal here, but I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It kind of chokes me up, but this means a lot. It means a lot.
So that's actually my very next question. Can you talk about that championship?
Sure. You want me to just talk about that year, 2014?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
and then winning at the end.
I might want to back up a couple of years. I don't want to anger people on my crew, but or what we're on.
People got another comment here. It says, "Hey,
what do you
Chris,
got?
Great to see you,
John Boy. What's up, John Boy? That is a blast from my past. John Bolin and I, great friends. We rented a house together. We hung out. We used to jet ski all the time. Where he's just a good buddy of mine. He married Michelle. They had kids, bought a house, and moved east. And unfortunately, haven't seen him in a long time. But Johnny, it's great to see you. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for joining in to watch this too, Johnny. If I'm at Pomona and you want to come, I got tickets for you. I'm already telling you tickets for you, Michelle, and your girls if you'd like. So anyway, hey, sorry for the distraction, the rest of you, but yeah, great to see Johnny. No, so back to I was in the seat in 2002. Won 3 division. They weren't regional championships because they didn't have the regional series. Alcohol cars competed at the division races. Won 3 division champions, Division 7 in 2004, 5, and 6. And then we kind of lost, our tune-up kind of faded. We had some challenges, 07, 08, and 09. Mid of 2009, Kevin Watson and I, Kevin was a big part of the team. He's now my brother-in-law. He married my little sister. Anyway, Kevin and I came across a guy by the name of Adam Rhodes. He was helping Brooks Brown on an A-Field car, met him at the Vegas National in April of 2009. And at the time, Darren Nicholson, who had driven for us, he was on our team doing the clutch. But Darren had some other opportunities, so he was leaving, and we were in need of a clutch guy. And here's this guy, Adam Rhodes. I meet Adam. We say, Adam, hey, you want to come on our team? We need a clutch guy. Adam comes on our team, and that was really the beginning of some serious success for Modern Racing. While Adam started out as the clutch guy, his father raced Top Fuel and Top Alcohol back in the 60s and 70s. Drove the freight train among other cars. And anyway, so Walt Rhodes is Adam's dad. So Adam certainly had a history in drag racing. Okay. So Adam comes on the team as a clutch guy. He slowly starts taking over tuning the thing. And so within 6 months, I like I said earlier, I'd been to 7 national event final rounds and lost. I'd never won a national event in almost, 8 years of racing or more. And Adam comes on the team within 6 months. I win the Pomona Winter Nationals in 2010. And it was just like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And so we kind of went on a tear. In 2010, I came in second nationally. It came down to I think the Pomona finals, where I had an opportunity. I was still in the running and didn't make it. But hey, like I said, so I think through the next couple of years, I was top 5, if not second place nationally. And in 2014, so anyway, 2012, win the Winter Nationals again. 2014, start off the year doing well, win the Winter Nationals. Things kind of went downhill for a little bit. We kind of, I forget what the challenges were, but we go to, of all places, I think it was Acton, Montana, and I brought my girlfriend, who is now my fiance, Karen Prim. Everybody else knows her as Cookie. Cookie came with us to the first event Cookie'd come with us to, Acton, Montana, and we win the race, right? And it was just from that through the rest of that season, we just were having this wonderful bit of success. I'm trying to, I can't remember the names of all the events, but oh my God, we won a lot. Yes. And I think so we win Indy, and everything's just, it can't get any better than that, right? Well, it can. We ended up going to what's the one, South Carolina? What's the national of the 4 wide in now South Carolina? Charlotte. We go to Charlotte, and we qualify, and I think we ran first round, and the race gets rained out, right? So we go to Dallas, was like a week or two after that. We go to Dallas, didn't do so good there, but it finally was determined, hey, the Charlotte race they're gonna do the makeup for it. Well, they're gonna finish the Charlotte race in Pennsylvania.
Maple Grove.
So we head to Maple Grove, right? And we end up winning the Charlotte race, and that was done in qualifying for the Maple Grove race. And so we win that. It's like, oh, this is great. And of course, we're in the running for the national event. I think it was, I can't even remember when exactly it occurred, but we win the makeup for the Charlotte. We end up winning the championship. We securing the championship, and I think we were all just like, yeah, let's forget this Maple Grove race. We've won the makeup for the Charlotte. we've won the championship. Let's just sit back and drink beer, right? And
Yeah.
Mattern says, look, you guys, if we can win the Maple Grove race as well, I'm going to give you guys the winnings, right? I'll split it up amongst the crew. And understand, this is a volunteer-only crew, but
Yeah.
hey, a chance for some money? Yeah. So we put the beers down, not that we were, but anyway, so we turn around and we end up winning the Maple Grove event as well. So in one weekend, we win the Charlotte race, we win the Maple Grove and the championship. You know what? It can get better than winning Indy, because that was a wonderful thing. And I thought, look at this great thing we've done. This is crazy. Well, you know what? The funny car guy, like I said, I'm so bad with names. He's the guy, he's from Australia. Who's the alcohol funny car driver from Australia?
David Grubnick?
No. Alcohol guy. Oh, he'd kick me in the ass if he knew. Like I said, he had a
guy from
anyway. Somebody will type it in. Somebody send that name in. He ended up doing the exact same thing our team did. Which hey, it was cool. It was wonderful to
Steve Harker.
Steve Harker. Oh, Steve and his wife. She's a wonderful gal. She taught me about what do we call it? A crescent wrench? Well, hey, in Australia, you don't call it a crescent wrench. It's a Swedish spanner or some kind of crazy name like that. Anyway, yeah, we got to celebrate and enjoy that wonderful victory with the Harkers, who had performed the same crazy miracle of winning 2 events and a championship all in the same weekend. So, yeah, no, it was just a crazy year. At that point, we came back. We had 2 chassis that were functional at the time, and we came back, put everything in the other chassis, and kind of finished out the year experimenting with this other chassis. It was a great chassis, but all of our chassis lately have been Yahara Chassis, a chassis builder out of Northern California. This was another Yahara chassis, and for whatever reason, it 60-footed really well. And so we went and played with that chassis for the rest of the season. Didn't win any more races, but didn't matter. We'd won the national championship, and at that point, that's all that mattered. So, yeah, that's 2014 in a nutshell, right?
Yes. So Scott said he would like to meet you. He's been a huge fan of drag races in 1977.
So this is Scott Daly. I'm writing this down.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that name. I know that guy. I think I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Probably.
I'm going to try something real quick. I am going to try.
And then we got Bergie. She said she got to go, or he got to go.
Can you see my background?
Yeah,
I put up a virtual background. That's my trophy wall.
Yes, I see that.
The virtual part kind of messes up with my hair and everything, but
yeah,
I just wanted to put that. I know I showed you my rings and stuff. In fact, wait, what else do I got here? I got my.
It says your friend on Facebook.
Yes, we are friends on Facebook. This is the coveted. That
ice cream scoop.
This is the coveted pewter ice cream scoop of Norwalk. This is the most. I have this it comes in a little case, and I have this case underneath my trophy shelf. But it's sitting up on like a little book stand so that you can see it. Beautiful piece of it. I love that.
So I have a couple more questions for you, Chris.
Okay, go ahead.
So when you did race the past few years,
mm-hmm.
I don't know how long you've had this, but when you raced the past few years, you had a special helmet, and that was the San Diego Chargers lightning bolt on your helmet.
Yes, I'm somewhat of a football fan. Really, that comes from Kevin Watson. He was a San Diego Charger fan. They're now the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes.
So it was Kevin's idea. I never wanted to get some fancy helmet. A lot of a lot of racers spend a lot of money on this fancy paint job that you can't tell what it is from more than 10 feet away. And I know from marketing and so forth, I like putting on a good show. And keep it simple and make it so you can see it and read it from 100 yards away, and you'll get a lot more attention out of it. So when Kevin came up with the idea of putting some Charger lightning bolts, hey, I was all about it. My mom had been born in San Diego, so why not choose the San Diego Chargers as my team? And I've followed them ever since. So I think I put Charger lightning bolts, it was like 2010, 2011 or so. And, oh, man, it gets all kinds of attention. There are a huge number of football. There's more NFL fans than there are drag racing fans, or there's a crossover, right?
Yes.
And so when I would, go when we were touring a lot and traveling the country racing, that got a lot of attention from NFL fans. I would have people come to my pit and want to take a picture of me holding my Charger helmet. And I hate saying that the Chargers sucked, and hopefully this is their year. They got a great new quarterback, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, no, it was another way to just kind of to mix with the fans. It was a reason to talk with them and so forth. That's something I've always tried to be as a driver, is to be approachable and spend time with fans. I'll tell you what, it's no fun racing with no fans in the stands. So if you want to come by and talk to me, I'm going to do my best to give some time to spend some time with you, shake your hand, hear your story about why you love drag racing, and relate to it. Because I know that I'm one of the chosen few that's been given this wonderful opportunity to strap my ass into one of these crazy machines, right? And not everybody gets to do it. There's so many more people who would like that opportunity. And if I can at least relate that to you and talk to you and just share the experience as best I can, then that's what I'm doing for drag racing, right? If you talk about we've talked about drag racing kind of challenging. It's challenging to stay relevant in the sports world, but it's up to the drivers and those teams to try to do their best to bring more fans into the fold. And I always felt that as something that I've been given this opportunity to drive. Why not try to share that experience with as many people as I can? If when YouTube came about, if you go on YouTube and Google Chris Demke, you may find some you'll find some footage from TV and so forth. But I was one of the first guys to put a camera on my car and put that stuff on
like
YouTube.
A GoPro.
It was before GoPro was around. It was this little Samsung thing. And I had Kevin, who is in the entertainment industry. We had so much fun mounting that camera all over the car, in the cockpit, on the wing struts looking forward, on the nose looking backwards. We did one really cool one where we put it on the A-arms of the nose of the car, looking through the wheel, and it gave this great spoked kind of shutter effect. And I think it was Garrett Bateman. He was sponsored by Big O Tires, and it was this cool effect of looking at a car in the other lane, looking through the spokes of the front wheel. We had so much fun with that. In fact, one of the camera views we then saw later that year on Larry Dixon's Top Fuel Dragster that ESPN was using, and we're like, hey, that's our camera view right there. We didn't say, hey, that's ours or anything, but we were just happy to have seen something we had kind of come up with used by an actual pro team and ESPN and so forth. So,
yes.
So, yeah.
There was actually a video, I think I saw it on Monday, and I brought it up to Matt Gill, that I think it's Chad Green from this past weekend, where they had the Fox Sports camera, the big arm, the camera looking down this way.
Okay.
And they had I don't know if it was GoPro or something else, but looking inward at him, they had an outside camera and an inside camera, and they put this video on, I think it was Facebook, and I saw it.
Oh.
And I think it was Chad Green, and him making a pass, like what he does and everything inside the car.
Oh, you got to see all the things the driver was doing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're not just sitting there doing nothing. There's a lot to do in that short period of time as you go from starting line to finish line. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Ralph Isbell said, great to see you.
Oh, Ralph! Ralph was on our crew for a couple of races. In fact, I'm pretty sure Ralph came with us to Montana a few times. I talk about Montana. It was Cookie's first race where she traveled with the team. And, of course, where I'm going to be, not this weekend, but next weekend. So, yeah. Yes. Hey, it's great to hear from you, Ralph. I hope everything's going well. I think he has been on another couple of teams since then. We've actually done that where we've had crew guys on our team, and then they've either moved on to other alcohol teams, or in the case of, what's his name? Ryan. We had this guy who was a friend of Robert Hadler, our current clutch guy, Goatman, as his nickname is. Ryan, I can't remember Ryan's last name. He has moved on, and he's on the Connie Coletta team. He's on one of their dragsters. Been on it for like 4 or 5 years now. Yeah.
Oh.
So, anyway.
Chris, you said you're not really in touch with the sport right now because there's some issues going on with your team, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But there's a chance that Randy Meyer Racing with Julie Natas could win 4 in a row. You had Megan Meyer winning 2,
Mm-hmm.
Rachel winning last year, and then she stepped out earlier this year because she's pregnant and can't drive with a baby in the oven.
Right.
And so Julie's racing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that their team could win 4 in a row this time with Julie as the driver to potentially win the championship?
I absolutely think they could do it. Randy Meyer, he knows drag racing. And like I was said earlier, as long as he's not in the seat, that car is nearly unstoppable. Now, I did look at the points and I saw who's in second, 1 point behind. I didn't look at the number of races being counted and all that because that certainly plays into it. Points in alcohol on down are much different than the pros where you count points from every race. In semi-pro and on down, you get you can go to a maximum number of races and you take points from a subset of those. So it's a little challenging to just look at the points list and figure out what the situation is. But it looked like Joey Severance is in second place. Now, how many did Joey win? I won in 2014 and Joey went on a tear 2015 through something. He won a bunch of them in a row. Yeah. Now, of course, I'm partial to the supercharged methanol or the blown alcohol car. So I'm rooting for you, Joey. But I honestly, I'd almost have to give it to Randy Meyer. That guy, he's excellent. I don't want to say unstoppable, but the word kind of applies. And you know what? Julie served her time. But I think, when did she start racing? 2018 or so. So she's due.
Yes. So yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing her with a championship trophy in her hand. She's I don't know her real well. I mean, first time I raced her, I think she hung me out on the starting line, which didn't make me very happy. But hey, my hat's off to her. She's definitely not a novice. She's very skilled, an excellent driver. You know, when I think back in the day when she first started, she was challenged to cut a light, right? And for her first year or two, in fact, I think I hole shotted her at Pomona a couple of years ago, but she has made reaction time a focus, as every driver should, and that gal cuts great lights now. And I think that's a key part of any championship team. You got to have a car that's going to make it down the track. Maybe not the fastest car, but it's got to go down the track 4 times in a row, reasonably fast, right? You got to have a very fast, reliable car. With that, yes. So you got to have reliability. You got to have a good tune-up, that can adapt to varying changes, whether it be at the same track as weather changes or as you go from race to race. The people who are doing the tune-up got to be able to adjust that tune-up for the varying conditions. And third, you got to have a driver that can do his or her job, cut lights, be consistent, right? Consistency counts in drag racing. You know, of course, you don't want to be consistently bad, but you got to be consistently good. I couldn't cut a light for my life for probably the first 10 years of driving. And I think it was 2014, we're in contention for the championship. And I realized, I could cut lights sometimes, but I was inconsistent. I said, I got to do something about this. And I know Tom Baer. Tom Baer has a drag racing school. And, so I went to Tom. And it's very hard as a driver. Of course, drivers have these great big heads, big egos. But I had to look deep. I had to admit I had a problem. And so I went to Tom Baer. Tom, can you help me out? And Tom did. And Tom helped me find where my weak points were, where my strengths were, where my weak points were, where I needed to focus. I focused. And ever since I worked with Tom Baer on my reaction times, I can reliably say I don't want to throw any numbers out there, but I cut pretty good lights now. So, okay. So those 3 things are what it takes to win a championship, or at least that's my perspective on it. So
yes, Chris, a few years ago, you stepped out of the car. Yeah. And a driver from the Pittsburgh area, close to it or in the vicinity of it, Brandon Greco, took over your ride.
Yes.
Could you talk about to our audience how that came about?
Well, so that was 2020. I think we'd run Pomona, and So we raced Pomona, took the car back to the shop and parked it. And then the COVID started. There was no racing. Yeah, let's just say there was some disagreements between myself, Jerry Mattern, and the rest of the crew. And I decided it would be best for me to step out. And Brandon had been, he's a great friend of the family. He and Jerry have a very strong relationship. He and Jerry, Brandon has his own Top Alcohol Dragster.
Yes.
And so Brandon is also an automotive mechanic, by trade. And so very knowledgeable on engines and so forth. And Jerry likes having somebody to bounce ideas about the motor combination and trying what's causing this, what should I do to fix that. And Brandon and Jerry have a great rapport when it comes to that kind of stuff. And as we were having trouble getting crew guys, Brandon had offered to come along and help us out as a crew guy. And I'm telling you, that guy is he's not only a great driver and so forth, he's one of the best crew guys you could have. He's two guys in one, if not three. And anyway, he was going to be, what was it? It was 2020. We had some disagreements. We were going to go to a race in Dallas. Yeah. And it was still questionable if you could fly or drive with the restrictions and so forth. And look, I just told him, hey, you know what? Why don't you just have Brandon drive? I know he'll do a good job. He's every bit as skilled as I am. And so I just stepped out for a year, let them go and race around the country. And, during the COVID, that's really all I want to say about that.
Okay.
I thankfully was given the opportunity to drive again in 2021, which I took it. Didn't go well. We have serious parts attrition. As I said, those three things you need to be successul, yes. Not only to just win championships, but take away the reliability of the car and you're not going to do well. And we had a lot, dropping valves, backfiring the blower and things like that. And we spent all season, blowing the thing up. So anyway, that's what puts us where we are now. Hopefully we've got those mechanical problems behind us and we'll see where it takes us.
We have a comment here from Steve Moody.
Steve Moody, yeah.
In Montana. See you at the race shop.
Right on. Thanks, Steve. And thanks he came down Saturday, helped us pack the thing up. And unfortunately, he and Charisse can't get the time off to be able to come with us to Acton. But we'll see if maybe they want to come up to Bakersfield. It's nice and close. And but Steve, you remember that guy, John Bolin, who said hi? I met Steve through Johnny back in, 88, 89-ish, or I don't remember. Too far back. I don't even know if those brain cells are gone.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, Chris, you made 3 events this year, Pomona, Las Vegas, and the divisional Las Vegas.
Yes.
And you said you're going to go to Montana.
Yes.
Bakersfield, Las Vegas in close to November, and then Pomona.
Vegas, Pomona.
Yeah, Vegas.
That's all the racers call it that because the season finishes with these 3 races in a row. The pros don't do that second Vegas. It's the Vegas National, Vegas Regional, divisional, then Pomona. So for the alcohol classes on down, we all call it Vegas, Pomona. So that'll be how we finish the season out. So.
Being that you have been out of the car for a while, what are your expectations when you do hit this stretch of getting back into your routine again?
Oh, we're not at the top of our game as a team right now. I really learned a lot in that 2010 through 2015 sequence of years of what it takes to be successful on a race team. And there's a lot of synchronization in the crew, a lot of planning and so forth. And that's not really the way our team is going right now. We're mostly let's just go to the track, make a couple of laps and have some fun. And my goal, not to kill myself, right? So we talked about safety earlier, and that's always a good thing. And I want to make sure, number one, be safe. I just want to go up there, be safe, and have fun. Hopefully not blow some stuff up, maybe learn some stuff, but yeah, let's just go have fun. And if we can have some success in there, that's just icing on the cake. But you can't win them all, so let's just go out and have a good time.
Okay. Before I get to the last question, Chris, what is the goal for next season? You've only going to do about 6 or 7 races this year. What is the expectation for next year? Or you
I
don't know yet because we haven't got there.
too far in the future, I have no expectation. If we're
Okay.
still racing, well, I know for one thing, I got to get a new suit. I've always worn two-piece suits, and come January 1st, my latest two-piece becomes a museum piece. So I need to throw down the coin and get a one-piece suit. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. It's not a problem. I just don't know. Well,
Okay.
that's up to Jerry Mattern. Like I said, I just drive. We really didn't talk about the trained monkey and the banana thing, which is okay. That was kind of my little game during those 5 years that I was talking about from 2010 to 15. Maybe that's 6 years. I don't know. Anyway, I just try to drive. I'm not the one doing the planning of what events we go to and so on and so forth. If asked, I do try to provide my input, but that's not really my decision. So
Okay.
I would say more than likely you will see our team at Pomona. It's our home track. We're 45 minutes from there. I love racing Pomona. I have more wins there than any other track, I think. Or I shouldn't just say me. Mattern Racing has more wins at Pomona, probably closely followed by Chicago. So I was really sad to see Chicago close. But yeah, I think you'll see us at Pomona, and who knows what happens after that.
I didn't know since what we're going to talk about next, which is the parts and inflation, but I didn't know if you, now that things are good again, it could potentially you go back to like a national tour again. That's what I was kind of asking for next season.
Oh, I'm not going to say it's out of the realm of possibility. While you talk about the economy coming back, as I
Yes.
talked about, the companies funding our team are very dependent on, I don't want to say very dependent, but somewhat dependent on Boeing. And
Okay.
Boeing is coming back around. They're making 737s again and so forth. And I don't want to get down in the weeds on the condition of a company that has nothing to do with track racing, but that's the finances of Mattern Racing. And, if the opportunity presents itself, if Jerry Mattern were to stumble upon a little treasure chest of gold that would allow him to go racing more aggressively than we have been the last year or two, I know him. I know he would do it. And if they give me the opportunity to stay in the seat and do that, I'm there. I would love to do it. Properly funded with a good crew ready to spend the time on keeping that car in tip-top shape and ready, then let's do it. We know what it takes, and it's just a matter of putting all the ducks in a row and making it happen.
Okay. Chris, finally, every team is dealing with this today.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, can't really do nothing about this. We're all in the situation. Well, motorsports guys, motorsports teams, and if you order a part today, like we were talking about, you might not get it till next year now because we're in August,
Sure.
and it's going to take a while for you to get it. And the inflation, and I've seen some teams that have posted this where they'll take a toter home or a big rig and go to these events, and it's over $1,000 to fill up their tank, and they probably make one or multiple trips of gas during a trip to an event.
Yes.
How is your team, well, for the races that you did do, and now being sidelined, how is your team potentially not infected, but affected by the parts and inflation problems that's going on today?
It's absolutely an issue. But parts, I think Jerry has had we're going to this race in Montana with like 3 spare rods, right?
Okay.
We've got, now don't get me wrong, we've got the motor in the car and then 2 spare engines. But say we just need to swap out one piston in the motor, and we can get by with that. Well, we only have, this is what Adam Rose used to call it a feeder rack. We'd always have a rack or two of of piston rod assemblies already assembled, maybe used, maybe new, but things we could throw in the existing motor just to quickly get it ready for the next round. And as I said, so we usually had 2 racks. That would be 16 piston rod assemblies. We're going to this race in Montana with 3. Why? Because we can't get any rods, so it affects your ability to race reliably. And of course, it will just, knowing that may affect how you tune the car. You can't get as aggressive with things when you don't have the spare parts to throw at that thing to be able to go rounds. But then you look at just the cost. I think Robert, who drives, he's our clutch guy. He also is our driver of our rig. He just left today. I think he had planned it all out, and he told Jerry, yeah, it's going to be $4,000 in diesel to get up there and back.
Wow.
$4,000. If we win the race, what is it, 2,500 or something?
Wow.
If you win, that's the NHRA money. You get a couple of things in contingency, but we couldn't even now add in the plane flights for the people flying, which would be me. The hotels, feeding everybody.
Yeah.
You don't race to get rich, right? You do it for the love of the sport. How's that joke go? You can make a small fortune drag racing, just start with a big one, right? So yeah, $4,000 to get to Montana and back, and we might win 2,500 if we win the race. And I'm not betting on that. I'm, like I said, just going out there to have a good time, be safe, and just have fun with my family and friends and crew. So.
Wow. Well, Chris, thank you for joining us tonight. Good luck in Montana.
Hey, I want to. So we were talking about money, and I apologize, I forgot, but I want to thank my sponsors, because when I talk about money and supplies and so forth, these guys take the edge off of it, right? I've got a wonderful oil sponsor in Brent Gines out of Utah. Brent's a great guy. I want to say thank you, Brent. He's having a car show this Saturday that I can't make it to. Robert's going to swing by with our rig on the way and stop and hopefully put our car on display there. Brent runs Boost Performance Products, which is sort of the retail online arm of Clean Boost Oil.
Okay.
That's the oil we use. They make a variety of products. Clean Boost Oil. They've got other fuel treatments and surface prep things for to help clean your car and so forth. BoostPerformanceProducts.com. If you could take a look at that, help my sponsor. Maybe buy something if you see something you like. Brent's a great guy, and you could help Brent out with the oil he provides us. And secondly, Hoosier Tire. I'm one of the last, Mattern Racing is one of the last alcohol dragsters to still run a Hoosier Tire. Everybody switched over to Goodyear. I'm telling you, the Hoosier Tire works just great. Farron Lubers, the director of drag racing at Hoosier, is a great guy. Still provides me tires as necessary. So those are my 2 primary sponsors: Boost Performance Products and Hoosier Tire. Love you guys. Couldn't do it with well, we could do it, but you take the edge off, and it's so great to have people supporting you through this very expensive but very fun sport. So so there, there's those 2 guys providing us, but I just want to say thank you to Jerry Mattern, team owner, and my stepfather. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity you provided me. Of course, Dixie Mattern, my mom who passed away, she was right there through this whole thing. She was really a driving force of this team. Adam Rhodes, who helped put these rings on my finger. Of course, Kevin Watson, who took care of this car through those things and still does to this day. He doesn't really work on the car much anymore, but he's really come leaps and bounds in his ability to tune that car and get it down the track under challenging conditions. So Kevin Watson and Amy Mattern, my little sister, love you guys. Thank you so much for your help. Robert Hadler, Goatman, who drives the rig, and he's really the one guy who spends the most time working on this car. If it wasn't for Robert, probably we wouldn't be going to this race this weekend.
Next weekend.
Next weekend. Brandon Greco, he will be flying in to help out. Thank you so much, Brandon. Your effort is very much appreciated because, like I said, he's 2 guys in one. He does most of the work at the race. I try my best to keep up with him. Greg Rice, he came out to Vegas with us. He was big during our championship series. Jacob Carson was on our team for a couple years there. He helped us win our last national event at Chicago. That our last national event win, we cleaned out the trailer. We blew up every motor we had, but brought home the Wally. It was a tough weekend. Steve Moody and his better half, Charisse, they've been of great help down at the shop. Can't go to every race with us, but they're really very helpful down. That's part of, what you see happen at a race is just the tip of the iceberg. It's all that effort back at the shop that really can make the difference as to how a team performs at the track. So I think that about covers all the names I wanted to rattle off here. So
okay.
Yeah, that covers it. Thank you so much, Anthony. I really appreciate you giving me the time to get on here and flap my lips. What I think we've been on here almost over an hour and 20 minutes.
Hour and 20 minutes.
I warned you. You get me talking about drag racing, I won't shut up. So
it's
anyway.
all good. Well, I got a couple things to say before.
Okay. All right.
So like I said, I thank you for joining me tonight. Good luck in Montana in 2 weeks. Outside of being on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live right now, this video will be on Rumble in the next few days, also on BitChute in the next few days, and converted into a podcast on Anchor.fm in the next few days as well. Thanks for joining me, Chris, and good luck on the rest of your season.
Hey, I have one more name I forgot. And
Go ahead.
I did bring her up earlier. My girlfriend, my fiance, Karen Cookie Prim. I can't believe I didn't say her with the crew. She's so vitally important. She just takes care of all those things we don't think of. And sorry I didn't list her name earlier. She's probably down making dinner right now. She's hugely important to my life. I mean, yeah, that woman takes more care of me than you can imagine. I'm blessed to be a part of her life is what it amounts to. So Karen Cookie, I love you. And her and I will be flying out. We're going to take a little time after the race. We're going to go down to Yellowstone and then down to the Grand Tetons. Spend a couple days, try to hook a little vacation onto the end of the race. Yeah, and do what we can. So Cookie, love you. Sorry. But I shouldn't say sorry. I did get her name in there. But anyway, Anthony, as I said, thank you so much. It's great to be able to spend some time talking about drag racing. This will get me pumped up and really excited to go do my best and get the crew going. And then hopefully we can come back with maybe not a Wally, but at least come back with some good stories and a good time. I briefly did that picture in the background of my trophy wall, right? Yes. A lot of trophies. And behind every trophy, there's a bunch of pictures. I love when people come in and they look at that, and I've gotten used to it, but they look at that wall and it's like, oh my God, will you look at all those trophies? Every one of those trophies has a story behind it. And there are times, I'm starting to choke up because there are times when I will go sit there in my living. I'm so blessed that Cookie gave me, when we bought a house together, right? We lived together, not married yet, but this was our house. She allowed me to put all those trophies on a wall in our living room so that it's all there in one place. And I will sit down there and just think back through the history, the challenges and the challenges and the wonderful times that we had and the memories that we created to make that wall. So
yes,
give me 2 seconds and then I'll come back. But anyway, great times. I love drag racing, and I just look forward to being able to share these experiences with as many friends and family and so forth as I can.
Oh, that's amazing to hear.
Right on.
So hopefully you can add some more in the near future, and hopefully you're not officially done and step out. But
I'm not done yet, buddy. Not done yet.
Yes.
I'll never forget it, man. I don't wear it. It's too big. My little monkey fingers and this great big ring, it just doesn't come off right. But when I go to special events, I do put it on. But I don't wear it daily. Don't want to damage it. Don't want to scratch it. Don't want to lose it. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I will.
Sorry, that was the Indy one. This was my trophy, my championship.
Okay. So I'll end the broadcast now. Like I said, good luck, and I'll end the broadcast.